Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. Randy Swaim joining us here, our amazing coach, coaching for relevance, and so much more. Randy, welcome back. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing good and just glad to be here. It's always a pleasure being on the show with you, and I'm glad to be here. But yeah, I'm doing great.
Great. Bringing freedom to potential. He joins us here live. And what do we have for today's show?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk about one specific aspect that sometimes people don't realize out there. And I'll mention it, but it's I'll bring some aspects to it, and really where it came from. Interestingly enough, you know that periodically, about once a month, I go over to the local high school and speak to and everything.
The high school and speak to. You broke up. High school and speak to.
Oh yeah, just a class. I partner together because the high school has different people that want to be the mentors in this program that come over once a month, and they speak to the students about various topics and things like that and everything. And this is very aligned because it's very aligned with leadership. And so I'll kind of mention that as we go into this.
Perfect. Let's hear about it.
Okay, sounds good. So you want me to go ahead and start?
Yeah, I want to hear. I want to hear also about the classroom business.
Good deal. Well, I tell you what, one of the things that they wanted to, and it's a key aspect of true leaders. And I will tell you, and I kind of mentioned this to them because one of the things that I told them was that gaining an insight in this is going to make you successful going forward, even after you graduate, when you're moving on with your life and everything, and all that, because it's a key aspect. But it's also a really key aspect of true leadership and true success in your team. And one of the things that I'll just mention on that is this aspect, and I'll introduce the basic subject center that we talked about in the class today that I led. And I had a lot of the students basically contributing little, aspects of their experience in life and everything that related to it, and all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of amazing. It's not that they were real overly smart on it, but they had some insights that of the value of it and everything. And so that was really, really cool. But what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and launch into it. But it's true of any aspect of leadership that a lot of people don't fully realize. And one of the things that I will tell you is, and what I'll do is I'm going to just give you a quote before I go into the concept there. Really, I'm going to give you a quote from Steve Keating, but it's a really valuable and aligned quote with me, all that I do, my organizational maneuverability and all of that stuff. But Steve Keating had this quote, and it's very, very realistic. And then I'll kind of launch into the subject, and we'll talk a little bit about just in leading your team, what you need to be thinking about and everything. And but the quote from Steve Keating was this, word for word: authentic leaders don't force compliance, they earn commitment. And that's a true aspect about it. If you have somebody that's doing nothing but trying to force compliance and dictating to people and things like that, they're not being a leader. They're being a dictatorial, narcissistic manager in a lot of ways. And what you do a lot wants them to shut their brain off and just shut up and do what you tell them to do. And that is not good for your team when you do that. And so it's just it's a valuable aspect of that a lot of people sometimes don't think about. And one of the things that you will see very insidiously, sometimes you'll see managers out there who are really sort of dictatorial managers and not really doing this effectively. And yes, every now and then when they're talking to somebody, they'll tell a joke or something, because they want to get them to chuckle or laugh or whatever, kind of thing. But in their mind, what they're wanting is for that person to just connect with them in a way that you can just control them and have them shut up and not even think and just do what you say, kind of thing. And that is dysfunctional. If
Mm-hmm.
you're creating a life journey with them where you're alongside, then that can be huge. But I'll just say this, that in the time that we have here, uh, the subject center of the subject that we talked about in the school today was basically a simple word, and it's a word of gratitude. And you know what? When you think about your team and you think about your people, true leadership is not about you just dictating to them. If all you're doing is having them shut their brain off and pointing fingers at them and they better just shut up and just do what I tell them to do and things like that, that's a narcissistic, dysfunctional, um, and a bad manager. Okay, true leaders do not do that.
Yep.
True leaders generate, and this is what it says: when they earn commitment, they are generating gratitude in their team. And if you think about it, when you talk about one of the things I had a lot of the students share today is I asked them, what are some times where you have felt gratitude in situations or whatever? And a lot of times, you know what? Even if it's a challenging situation that is going on kind of crazily, and even if it has some risk in it, one of the things that I shared with them was with my Air Force background of, being in fighters and things like that. If you ever if you ever had to go into a battle situation or whatever, do you have a degree of gratitude within you about what you're having to do and how you're going to do it? And you know what? That can be huge sometimes. And but it was really interesting because want it even when things are challenging out there. Do you have the ability to have some gratitude on the vision of where you're going, what you're doing, how you're going to try to get there, even in the midst of the struggle, even in the
Mm-hmm.
midst of the challenges and things of that nature? Does your team truly experience that aspect of gratitude that, you know what, I'm glad we're in this right now. Let's go. Let's do this, kind of thing. And that is true gratitude. And if the manager is generating the gratitude in the team on where they're going, what's out there, what may be coming on the scene, what are some of the struggles and all that kind of stuff. Guess what? If they have gratitude in the situation because they're like, glad of where they're going and where they're trying to get there. And you know what this may kind of develop us in becoming as we do this, kind of thing. There's a lot of times where that can generate gratitude in their hearts and in their, in their system and in their brain. And from neuroscience standpoint, what neuroplasticians, what neurotransmitters are releasing in the situation. If it's strictly norepinephrine, and remember that in a previous show a while back, I mentioned that norepinephrine is the chemical that your brain releases to get you to either stand up and fight, kind of thing, or stand up and run away, or whatever kind of thing. But there's an aspect of oxytocin that if it releases oxytocin, you have a real feeling about connecting with your team. There's a oneness here. You know what? I'm glad we are working together in this, and I'm glad that, boy, that's what's going on. And so uh, it's a key aspect that a lot of people don't realize, because it's not, if you're talking about, you know, um, true success in your team, it's not just about you dictating to them. It's not about you saying, hey, here's how we're going to do this. Now, in some aspects, You may suggest to them how to start, but you know what? As they think about it, they may come up with a subtle insight that maybe you didn't even think about. Uh, but the other part of it too is if you are interacting in such a way that you're listening to them, not saying you're just capitulating to them, but just listening to them, you're welcoming them to communicate, you're really establishing this oneness together and all that. Guess what? They can have gratitude, because gratitude doesn't strictly depend on just how I feel. Like, in the midst of stress, you can still experience and feel a degree of gratitude. And if you do that, it can help you get to radical success with it. If you let that go and if you throw that in the trash, guess what? The brain and everything else starts to get iffy, kind of thing in the situation. And so if you think about it, when you're talking about, being a leader, when you're talking about leading a team in a challenging situation, and particularly all of that, what do you have to do to truly have your team feel a degree and experience a degree of gratitude? And in a sense that they have gratitude because they are feeling
Yeah.
gratitude in you that you're getting from us. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what? That's a huge aspect about this aspect of true leadership. Again, it doesn't happen because of it doesn't happen because of just somebody dictating. And that's a great quote that Steve Keating had, because again, authentic leaders, now dictatorial, narcissistic, self-interested managers, control freaks, yeah, they just try to force compliance. Just, you shut up and just do what I tell you to do, kind of thing. But you know what? True leaders don't do that. True leaders earn that that alignment and that commitment and that desire to be there, even in the struggling situation. You know what? When you have a situation, uh, and there have been some military times in the past where, um, a soldier went into a dangerous area to protect one of their other soldiers,
Yeah.
kind of thing. That doesn't happen because somebody just ordered him to. That doesn't happen because he thinks the commander is going to get mad at him. That does it because there is a sense of real gratitude and commitment for us together. And you know what? I even feel commitment and a gratitude because if the situation was the other way around, I think they'd do the same thing. And I have a confidence in me of that. And so this aspect, it's a real key aspect, and it was a central um, piece of what we talked about and what I brought to the high school students today. But it's very key in leadership too, and in any kind of organizational maneuverability concept where everything is not always just rote academic. And a lot of people today are totally focused on just rote academic things to say, okay, well, this is what that should be. This is what that'll do. Well, guess what? May not. Are you ready to be able to sense a degree of team gratitude
Yeah.
in? And that doesn't happen if all you're going to do is tell them to shut their brains off and just do what I tell you to do. If that's what somebody's doing, you're being a narcissistic, control freak. You're not being a leader. And and um, and so that all those are just aspects of it that when you look at this aspect of gratitude, if it's a true leader, and I will tell you that some of the people I've shared this, I think in a show quite a while back, but in some of the Air Force commanders that I served with, uh, I experienced that because they were being true leaders, and one of them, I think you may remember the name, but one of them was General Richard B. Myers, who was the very first Air Force general who was selected as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in 2001. And I think he retired around 2005. but he was my squadron commander when I was at the 4th TAC Fighter Wing, and I flew with him a number of times. And one of the things that I've told people, I think maybe in a show with you too, that I've told them, I said, I learned so much about leadership from him, but not one thing was it anything he ever told me. It's because of what I observed. And you know what? When you looked at how he, worked with his people, that is a part of it. And that is something that I experienced from my experience of just working with him, flying with him, and serving with him for just for those few years. And but the bottom line is, when you're talking about this aspect of gratitude, it is very critical for people to understand. And as a leader of your team, you got to have a sense of what is the gratitude truly
Yeah.
like in my people, and how do you know? And if it's not all there, what do you need to do differently to create it and to expand it and all that? Because here's the thing, if your people experience real gratitude, you're not going to have to just dictate to them, because you know what? They may come and ask you a couple of questions on what you want, but they already have some thoughts about how they want to kind of be a part of this. And that is huge when you're talking about really being effective and everything. But this aspect of gratitude is key. And people that are managers out there, they need to understand that if all you're doing is trying to force people to do what you tell them to do and force them compliance and just do that, and that's all you're doing, you're not being a true leader. You're
Yeah.
being a dictatorial and narcissistic manager. But if you are connecting with your people in such a way that they truly feel and experience that aspect of true gratitude. And gratitude doesn't happen. And this is one of the things that the high school students this morning understood, that gratitude doesn't just happen when everything is the way you want it.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Even when things are challenging, even when you're not even sure what to do quite yet, you know what? You can still sense right. And the gratitude can help you really ascertain what is needed and what you need to do and things of that nature. So I just wanted to take a little bit today and bring this one aspect of real gratitude and that word and kind of what it's about. And by the way, the gratitude can be focused on a number of things. It can be focused on your people. It can be focused on the situation that you're in. It can be focused on a number of aspects. But as a leader, you need to kind of build the team in such a way, not just dictating, but in such a way that they experience and feel real gratitude, even if it's in challenging situations. And so this aspect of gratitude is critical when somebody is leading their team. And you know what? When you're talking about an organizational maneuverability concept where things are not rote academic and you have different factors coming on the scene that you didn't expect and all of those kind of things, guess what? In the midst of all of that, you can still feel a sense of gratitude here that, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm glad I'm here so we can do this.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, as a leader, if you have a degree of if my team is feeling a degree of gratitude, that's a good thing. And I shared this, I think, with in another show previously, quite a while back with you. But you remember there was a time when I was a site manager at Griffiths Air Force Base, and and I'll just share this very quickly. But
Okay.
there's the um, the team was having some conversations. Now they knew I was the boss, and I was in there with them, but I didn't interrupt with them because I could tell they were going to a good place. I didn't interrupt them, but what they did is they were sitting there thinking about it, and at the toward the end of it, after they sort of got some thoughts together, one of the guys actually sat down with a pen and paper and he was going to jot some notes on it. But halfway in the seat, he looked at me because he just realized that the boss is in here. And you know what I did? All I did was I looked at him, I winked at him, I nodded my head, and he just smiled with gratitude and appreciation and sat down. And they took notes on kind of what they were thinking because I could tell they were going to a good place. But you know what? I didn't take control. I didn't just play games. I, let them experience the gratitude at the time. And so that is key, and dramatic things and in that company, I was one of the top managers in the company for just the success and what we did and everything. And so it just, I help them experience real gratitude without causing a problem and without just becoming dictatorial. And the bottom line is that's just one thing that is critical when you're talking
Yeah.
about really leading a team. You got because guess what? Different people on your team are different people,
Yeah.
and they may experience gratitude slightly different. So you have to be aware of how that's going to happen. And true leaders understand that. And true leaders can work and make that happen. And so it's just like I said, it's just a key thing on this thing with gratitude.
Yeah.
And again, I'll just kind of do the quote from Steve Keating again. Authentic leaders don't force compliance, they earn commitment. And you know what? If your team is feeling real gratitude about despite whatever's going on or, kind of wherever you're trying to go, if your team truly feels gratitude, they want to be committed to this. They want to be a part of your team. They want to make this work. And guess
Mm-hmm.
what? Radical success can happen when you do that. So it's just one aspect about it that sometimes people don't think about. And a lot of people that are just dictatorial managers in their mind, a lot of people uh, miss that concept, but it's a key concept that people have to be aware of when you're talking about leading your team and all that. Gratitude can make a true difference.
Got it. I love gratitude. It goes so far. And
And
so I'm
and you know what? When you and I are in the show together, I feel a degree of gratitude. So I
thank
appreciate you,
you.
my friend.
No, same here. So, how do on a daily basis, I wake up most times with my kids, they're 10 and 8, and I make them say, I'm grateful for today. I love you. You got to say something positive. Go look in the mirror and say, I love myself. And they think it's silly and they laugh, say, I'm
Yeah.
amazing. I'm awesome. I just think there's something to be said for positivity and gratefulness each day, and that whole mindfulness and taking a moment to acknowledge life and joy and beauty and be grateful that we're waking up and able to breathe and look outside and see what's going on. It's something as an adult now, you wish you knew then what you knew now, but you don't as
Yeah.
kids. So I'm trying to teach them this. Like, how do you
Yeah.
wake up every day? I'm sure you're that guy that's positive and grateful. I'm sure you have your routine in the morning as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, my simple routine is simply this. When I wake up and I get up and I'm getting ready to do do the shower and get ready, my whole focus is just on, okay, I know what I'm doing today. You know what? I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to making this difference and doing this well and not just being braggadocious, but just even in the midst of struggles or things that you didn't expect or whatever, do you feel a sense of gratitude about your journey? And for me, there are several aspects that create that, but there's um, I look at my non-biological great grandkids and what I am doing to help them, and but also the what I'm doing to flight crews and jet pilots and things of that nature, and how I'm bringing coaching and also this leadership awareness, but also the neuroscience aspects of it to their awareness and to their benefit and all that. And really, you know what? That's what it's all about with me. It's just realizing where I am and what I'm doing. And I just have a total gratitude for where
Yeah.
I am in my life right now, even after some of the challenges in life and all of that. But even right where I am, in fact, in fact, I think I shared this with you one time before.
Hmm.
I've had people say, "Well, are you going to retire sometime?" And my answer is the same every time. I look at them, I go, "You know what? You know when I'm going to retire?" They say, "When?" And I say, "When I take my last breath." Because I'm going to kind of, as I tell them, I say, I'm going to run through the tape. Why? Because I appreciate what has been developed in me. I appreciate my life journey and what I've learned and kind of what I've become with it and all that. And now what I'm doing and how I'm bringing it and stuff. And that is all part of mine. I totally appreciate that. So that's sort of my story. And that I'm just, like I said, I just have a lot of gratitude on the struggles that I've had, but also the things that I've been able to overcome and the things that have, uh, that I'm doing now and making a difference. Uh, I have a ton of gratitude on being on the Podcast Business News Network show,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I just, and I'm very amazed, and I have an intense amount of gratitude that the Hollywood movie documentary is about to be published to the public in just a little bit less, about a month, because it's December 14th. And so it's just that kind of stuff. I'm amazed that this is happening right now. And like I said, I have a lot of gratitude on being on the show here with you and just what we do here.
Aw, well, thank you so much. But we still have 2 more minutes, Randy. So hold on, hold on. How can we leave off? What type of mindset can we set ourselves up for, for tomorrow? And actually, what's something we could do, take away from this interview, and then tell us how to contact you?
And what I will do, and of course, to contact me, you can go to my website, coachingforrelevance.com, and at the bottom of the homepage, it has my cell phone number and my email on it. People can give me a call. I don't do cold selling, unless they have a need of something. Yeah, we'll come up with something. But if they just want to have a chat, we can do that. But for me, the big thing is just helping people get a real sense of within your life's journey right now, even if you don't have absolute clarity on kind of what it is and where it's going, what is it going to take for you to basically sense and feel gratitude in what you're doing and why? And guess what? If you don't know where you're going, it may be that you should have gratitude on the sense of being able to form a sense of kind of how I'm going to get there. And what's the strategy going to look like? What do I need to be doing? A lot of that can be brought out with the to make the gratitude. But the bottom line is just with whatever you're doing,
Yep.
with where you're going, how you're getting there, all of that, plus the people that you're connecting with. I mean, the people that I connect with, I mean, obviously you and a number of the people there at PBNN and everything,
Yep.
and also my
Aw,
non-biological great grandkids and all that kind of stuff, but also my people at church, my people at work at the airport, my friends and colleagues over in Germany, um, all of that. I have gratitude in here for the people that I'm connected with, what I'm doing, where we're going, and how we're working together and all that. I just feel a real sense of gratitude in here for that. No two ways about it.
got it. Well, thank you so much. A pleasure having you. If we want to contact you, coachingforrelevance.com, pick up a copy of the book. And where do we find the book?
The book is actually on Amazon, so you can go there. The title of it is Bring Freedom to Potential. And of course, that's going to be the title of the movie also. But the book on Amazon is entitled Bring Freedom to Potential. And you'll see my picture on the little place on the website there when you look for it, and it'll show a picture of it. And then it'll have a click where you can buy it if you want to or whatever. But yeah, it's just it's on Amazon. So like I say, Bring Freedom to Potential. That's the story of my life, if you think about it.
Yes. Well,
And so that's why that title was made. But you know what? When you're bringing freedom to potential, even in struggles,
yeah.
do you
Wow.
sense regret, or do you sense real gratitude?
I feel gratitude, and I want to thank you for that conversation to remind me and to remind our listeners the importance of this. Randy, thank you again for being here, and congrats again, our Professional of the Year. Always a pleasure having you here. I'm grateful for you, sir. Enjoy your
Well, I
day.
tell you what, I'm grateful for you, and it's always a pleasure being here, my friend. You have a good one.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.